Exploring Life. Chapter 18, Plants. Part 2. Following the Carboniferous epoch, the planet's climate changed dramatically, becoming colder and drier. Seedless vascular plants, still reliant on water for reproduction and with unprotected spores, began to decline. The next major evolutionary step was the rise of seed-bearing vascular plants. Their key innovations, pollen to carry sperm without water and seeds to protect the embryo, cut their dependence on moist environments. These breakthroughs paved the way for two major groups of seed plants: gymnosperms, non-flowering plants like conifers, and angiosperms, the flowering plants. Pollen is the male reproductive cell, enclosed in a tough protective coating that lets it survive harsh conditions and travel by wind, insects, or animals, no water required. That's a major advantage over the flagellated sperm of seedless vascular plants, which must swim through moisture. Seeds also offer key advantages over spores. Spores are single-celled and exposed, lightweight but vulnerable. Seeds, in contrast, are multicellular, with a protective coat, a food supply, and a well-developed embryo, giving the young plant a much stronger start. Together, pollen and seeds freed plants from water-based reproduction and enabled them to spread across diverse environments, from mountain forests to dry, windy plains. This image shows the microscopic structure of pollen grains. Each grain contains the male gametes and is protected by a resilient outer wall, often with unique textures and patterns. These tough outer coatings allow pollen to survive the journey through air or on animal carriers, making fertilization possible without water. Pollen is a key innovation that enabled plants to spread and reproduce on land, even in dry environments. Another key adaptation was secondary growth, the ability of plants to thicken and strengthen their stems and roots over time. This growth is driven by the vascular cambium, a special tissue that produces wood and bark. It also forms tree rings, which record both the tree's age and the environmental conditions it experienced. Secondary growth allowed gymnosperms and woody angiosperms to become better anchored, grow taller, and live longer, giving them a major edge in the race for sunlight. It's one of the main reasons seed plants came to dominate terrestrial ecosystems. This image shows a cross-sectional view of a tree trunk, highlighting the concentric rings known as tree rings. Each ring represents 1 year of growth, created as the tree adds new layers of vascular tissue during the growing season. Wider rings indicate favorable conditions, such as plenty of water and sunlight, while narrow rings can reflect drought, stress, or slower growth. These rings not only track the age of the tree but also offer a window into past environmental conditions, making them valuable tools in both plant biology and climate science. Gymnosperms are one of the major groups of seed-bearing plants. Their name means naked seeds because their seeds aren't enclosed in fruit, they develop exposed on the surfaces of scales. These plants tend to grow slowly, and their reproductive cycles are equally unhurried. In many species, fertilization doesn't happen until nearly a year after pollination. Their reproductive structures are cones, modified branches that come in two types. Male cones produce pollen, while female cones contain ovules that, once fertilized, develop into seeds. In pines, cone development can take up to 2 years, so it's common to see cones at different stages, green and growing alongside older, woody ones, on the same branch. In gymnosperms, the sporophyte is the dominant stage, a large, long-lived, photosynthetic plant like a pine tree. The sporophyte produces haploid spores through meiosis. The male gametophyte is packaged inside pollen, which is tough and adapted to resist drying out. Pollen is transported by wind to reach the female structure. Once pollen reaches the ovule, the fertilization occurs, leading to development of diploid seeds that grow into the new plant. This image shows the gymnosperm life cycle, using conifers as an example. You can see the male cones, which produce pollen grains, the male gametophytes. Each fertilized ovule then develops into a seed. These are female and male cones. Male cones are small and clustered, they produce pollen. Female cones are larger and contain ovules that, once fertilized, develop into seeds. Both types can often be found on the same tree. Gymnosperms play a vital role in many ecosystems, especially in cold and temperate regions where they often dominate the landscape. Their extensive root systems help stabilize soil and prevent erosion, particularly on slopes and in windy environments. In addition to shaping the land, gymnosperms also support biodiversity by providing habitats and shelter for a wide range of organisms, from birds and insects to mammals and fungi. Their towering canopies, evergreen needles, and long lifespans make them foundational members of many forest ecosystems around the world. Gymnosperms are not only ecologically vital, they're also economically significant. They are a major source of timber, used in construction, furniture, and paper production. Coniferous trees like pines, spruces, and firs drive the global forestry industry. Some gymnosperms also provide food, such as pine nuts, which are eaten by both wildlife and humans. These seeds offer important nutrients in many ecosystems and cuisines. Environmentally, gymnosperms play a critical role in carbon sequestration. As long-lived, massive trees, they absorb and store large amounts of carbon dioxide, helping to mitigate the effects of climate change. So whether it's in our homes, our diets, or the air we breathe, gymnosperms leave a lasting impact. Around 150 million years ago, a new group of plants emerged that would come to dominate the planet, the angiosperms, or flowering plants. Their rise was driven by several key innovations: flowers to attract pollinators, double fertilization for efficient seed development, and fruits to protect and disperse seeds. This heavy investment in reproductive success paid off. By the mid-Cretaceous period, angiosperms were rapidly diversifying, taking over ecological niches once occupied by gymnosperms and ferns. Today, they are by far the most diverse and widespread group of plants, with an estimated 250,000 to 300,000 species. From towering trees to tiny herbs, flowering plants shape ecosystems, food webs, and human civilization, a testament to their extraordinary evolutionary success. Flowers are one of the most remarkable innovations in plant evolution. They evolved through the transformation of leaves into specialized reproductive structures. Some flowers are wind-pollinated and lack petals or scent. But many rely on animal pollinators, leading to coevolution, where plants and pollinators evolve together in tightly linked partnerships. As a result, flowers now display a dazzling range of shapes, colors, and scents, each tailored to a pollination strategy. Fragrant and delicate for bees and flies. Large and unscented for birds and bats. Stinky and leathery for beetles. and some even mimic female insects, luring male pollinators with no reward, just the illusion of romance, in a kind of evolutionary sugar daddy strategy. This intimate partnership helped make angiosperms one of the most successful groups of plants. Diverse, adaptable, and found in nearly every ecosystem on Earth. This image illustrates the structure of a generic flower. Petals are often colorful and fragrant, designed to attract pollinators like bees, birds, or butterflies. Sepals form the outermost layer, helping to protect the flower bud before it opens. The stamens are the male reproductive parts, made up of a filament topped with an anther, where pollen is produced. The pistil is the female reproductive structure. It includes the stigma, which receives pollen, the style, a tube leading to the ovary, and the ovary, which contains ovules that develop into seeds after fertilization. At the base is the receptacle, where all floral parts are attached. Each part of the flower plays a crucial role in ensuring successful reproduction in flowering plants. One of the most unique features of angiosperms is a process called double fertilization, something no other plant group does. During this process, two sperm cells are delivered by a pollen tube into the ovule. One sperm fertilizes the egg, forming a diploid zygote, which will grow into the embryo. The other sperm fuses with two other nuclei in the ovule, forming a triploid structure called the endosperm. The endosperm acts as a nutrient reservoir, providing the developing embryo with the food it needs during early growth. This efficient and targeted use of energy makes angiosperm reproduction both highly successful and energy smart, giving their seeds a strong head start. This image illustrates the life cycle of an angiosperm. It closely resembles that of gymnosperms, but with three key distinctions. The presence of flowers as specialized reproductive structures, shown on the right. Double fertilization, a process unique to angiosperms, visible at the bottom. The formation of a triploid, 3N, endosperm that nourishes the embryo, labeled on the left. Together, these features make angiosperm reproduction highly efficient and help explain their evolutionary success. In angiosperms, fruits form from the ovary walls after fertilization. So even if it's dry, tiny, or inedible, if it develops from the ovary, it's a fruit. The fruit's primary role is to protect developing seeds, but they also play a key role in seed dispersal. Fruits have evolved a wide range of strategies. Some rely on wind, float on water, or even explode to scatter their seeds. Others depend on animals. Some fruits cling to fur or feathers, hitchhiking to new locations. And some plants, like excellent parents, trade a little sugar to give their babies a ride and a startup. These fruits are meant to be eaten, and in return, the seeds are carried away and deposited with a helpful dose of manure. It's not a lucky accident, it's part of the deal. This remarkable variety reflects coevolution with dispersal agents, much like we saw with pollinators. Together, these strategies help angiosperms spread widely and maintain their dominance across ecosystems. Flowering plants are divided into two major groups: monocots and dicots. This classification is based on differences in embryonic development and several key structural traits. Monocots have one cotyledon, seed leaf, while dicots have two. In dicots, the cotyledons often develop into the plant's first two true leaves. In monocots, the single seed leaf does not directly become the first leaf. Instead, it plays a temporary role in nutrient transfer during germination. Monocots are plants like grasses, lilies, palms, and dicots are plants like roses, beans, sunflowers. This table shows the key differences between monocots and dicots, the two main groups of flowering plants. Monocots have 1 cotyledon, parallel leaf veins, flower parts in multiples of 3, a fibrous root system, scattered vascular bundles in the stem. In contrast, dicots have 2 cotyledons, net-like leaf veins, flower parts in multiples of 4 or 5, a taproot system, vascular bundles arranged in a ring. These differences help us classify and identify flowering plants based on their structure and development. Angiosperms are ecologically and economically vital, more than any other plant group. Ecologically, they dominate most terrestrial environments, from grasslands to rainforests. They form the foundation of food webs, support pollinators and herbivores, and drive nutrient cycling in ecosystems. Economically, angiosperms are essential to agriculture, providing fruits, vegetables, grains, fibers, and oils. They also play key roles in the textile industry, construction, and traditional and modern medicine. Flowering plants have shaped the development of our species. Grain crops like wheat, rice, and corn, all angiosperms, were central to the rise of agriculture, enabling permanent settlements, population growth, and the emergence of complex societies. They also carry deep symbolic meaning across cultures. From lotuses in Buddhism to roses in Western traditions, flowering plants are woven into art and religion, symbolizing purity, life, and renewal. Of all the offerings left behind, the presence of flowers in Neanderthal graves may speak most clearly to their capacity for love and an appreciation of beauty. And we still bring flowers to births, funerals, romantic dates, and graduations. In every way, flowering plants have shaped our landscapes, our economies, and our humanity. And some, like the humble dandelion, just keep following us across all continents, becoming a living symbol of the anthropological landscape, marking the spaces we've touched, built, and abandoned. Before we wrap up, let's review the major stepping stones in plant evolution. It all began with the algal origins of modern plants, photosynthetic organisms that laid the foundation for life on land. Then came the transition to land. Bryophytes, like mosses, were the first to make this leap, though they remained dependent on water for survival. The next major breakthrough was the evolution of vascular systems. Ferns and horsetails developed true leaves and roots, allowing them to grow taller and spread into drier environments. Today, about 90% of all land plants are vascular, a testament to the success of this innovation. The next major step was the evolution of seeds and pollen, a breakthrough that allowed gymnosperms to thrive in dry environments without relying on water for reproduction. Then came the rise of angiosperms, which invested heavily in reproductive success through innovations like flowers and fruits. Today, most plants around us are flowering plants. Each of these evolutionary leaps reflects how plants adapted to changing conditions and laid the groundwork for life on land. But their influence goes far beyond ecosystems. They formed the coal that fueled the industrial age and anchor the base of every food chain. Plants didn't just shape the natural world. They powered industries, sustained societies, and made civilization possible. They didn't just shape ecosystems. They laid the foundation for civilization itself. The next major step was the evolution of seeds and pollen, a breakthrough that allowed gymnosperms to thrive in dry environments without relying on water for reproduction. Then came the rise of angiosperms, which invested heavily in reproductive success through innovations like flowers and fruits. Today, most plants around us are flowering plants. Each of these evolutionary leaps reflects how plants adapted to changing conditions and laid the groundwork for life on land. Plants don't just anchor ecosystems, they form the base of every food chain. Plants aren't just important to the economy, they are foundation of it. But their importance to humans goes far beyond nature or industry. A story we'll explore more deeply in the chapters ahead. They fed our ancestors, shaped our bodies, lit our fires, and built our cities, guiding our evolution and carrying us from mere survival to the rise of human civilization as we know it today. Now it's time to pause and reflect. Take a moment to check your understanding of the key concepts we've covered, from the evolutionary origins of plants to the unique adaptations of angiosperms. If anything feels unclear, that's okay. This is your opportunity to review, revisit, and reinforce before moving forward. Remember, self-evaluation is a powerful tool in mastering biology.